All right, guys. Let's do a little quick recap of the past week and the outlook for the next week. Um, so here we are on MGC. This was our last week, and you can see that we were accumulating for most of the week, right? End of Monday is where we kind of started, put in this low here, this wick, pushed us up from that, and then we couldn't do anything from there. Okay, so that is the 4700 area, right? 4690, 4720, that whole area right there. 40 points, 30, 40 point area. Also, we were just sitting inside of this imbalance. We did break it right here, but still, price was like respecting it still in this area. We had this imbalance. Not going to draw it out just because I already have a box kind of around this accumulation. So I was kind of looking at this. Hopefully, wasn't not hopefully, but just potentially that we could have seen a PO3. The accumulation, the manipulation, technically could still happen since we are now at a major support area. For the manipulation, it's usually going to stop at like a 15-minute or 1 hour PD array, they call it, right? Usually just a fair value gap or an order block or something. We have session lows here that got swept multiple times. This one swept Asia London, swept it. It was just a pullback though, right back to the EMAs for sellers to continue down to take this Asia low here. Perfect sweep for it to turn around, sweep current New York highs, pull back, bought up, couldn't break our highs here, sold back down for the end of the session. Um, Back to the 4 hour real quick. You can just see I have all of these zones here. These are just past imbalances, IFVGs here. This was an imbalance at one point, right? It was holding. We gapped down, turned it into an IFVG, came back above it, kind of retested it here. Came and retested it again, broke through it again, used it as resistance again. We have an imbalance here that price wasn't breaking through. None of these candle bodies wanted to break above this area. Rejected, rejected. All of these are getting respected again in the future. So I'm just saying this is why I redraw out my IFVGs, because you can see here in this last week, this was an IFVG that price was not having us push up against or push up past. Same area I was just talking about. So important to draw IFVGs. Same one here was getting respected, finally broke past. Then it just gets smashed past now on the sell side, pulled back to, used as resistance, sold down again from here. Then, like I said, sitting in this 4 hour support that we have here. How do I draw? Pretty sure can I draw with this thing? I don't remember. I'm not going to try right now. I'm going to figure out how I can do that little temporary drawing here, but I know you guys can see this support here. Boom, 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 boom. So we're going to see what happens when we open up. So it leads us into the outlook, I guess, right? I had this fib here plotted up after this nice sweep of this last session here. We didn't go and take this one, not quite. So I'm still looking at this as potential for price to come back down and just smash this. Doesn't mean it's going to turn around here, but this is still a support area. If price were to just come and sweep this real quick, that would be a great sweep for could be the low for our turnaround here if we do turn around here at this support, 4 hour support. But anything below this, like 4,500, we're just going to come lower for sure. I'm going to get into another thing that also really matters with the bias and direction of gold that I haven't talked about much. The 10-year yields and DXY most people know about DXY, but 10-year yields, like anything yield wise, is going to really move the direction of gold inversely, inverse correlation. So like we know if DXY is going up, gold should be going down, right? Because the dollar strength is going up, and it usually pushes gold down. Um, Other than the past few years when just like over COVID and things like that, people just go and buy metals and stuff because the panic and people think the dollar is declining in value and all that shit. It's all just manipulated and being like pumped up and held up right now. Um, anyway, we have this sweep here, push up. I plotted a fib here from this low to this high to get where we would retrace to. We bounced off of 0.618. I remember catching this buy on Friday. And then I just seeing that we could not break past these highs here at like 560s, right? Um, Clearly starts to resist, accumulate. We turn around, got a big imbalance here on the 15 minute, end up breaking it with this candle, and then it's kind of just melt down to the fib again and play around for the rest of the session, for the rest of the end of the week. Um, Gold's just really ugly right now. It's doing a lot of back and forth. It's tradable. Sells are hitting. Buys could be hitting. See how I caught this buy here with the 1 minute IFVG. Once this inversed, I caught this up after the bounce off the fib. I think there's also a 3 minute fair value gap right here. Let me see. Maybe not. 5 minute fair value gap right here. Draw it out real quick. Boom. That's how I caught that buy. I didn't trade gold much. I'm going to go down to MES right now. There's not much to say about gold right now. We're just going to see, like I said, 4,500. I want to see us just hold above 4,500. That was my target for, not last week. I didn't post one last week. I know I fucked up, but the week before that, I wanted to see gold come down to 4,100 and bounce off of it, and that's exactly what happened. And now look at where we're at, back down to 4,500. This was the bounce I wanted last week, right? Literally bounced perfectly off 45, like 09, right? Took off. We couldn't break above this area, 47.70. We have these highs right here. This one, boom. This one makes a higher high, and then we're gone from there, right back down. So now it's just, are we going to come and sweep this low right here? We still have this session low, right? That hasn't been touched here, hasn't been touched here, hasn't been touched here. You know, it says, when is this session low going to get hit? Is it going to get hit, or are we going to turn around? You know, what's the likelihood of that? I just think the likelihood of it coming down first is higher, you know. So we'll see what happens with that. Let me just go to the 10-year bond since I brought it up and show you how that affects gold. So gold's clearly downtrending at the end of the week here. Look at the 10-year government bonds, the yields. Clearly flying at the end of the week, right? So that's what helped push gold down. And you can't look at this really on anything less than the 15, and honestly, or else it's just chop. Just too much gaps and stuff like that. It's a yield. Indexes usually do things like this, yields, all that. Stocks move like this sometimes, similar to this. Let's go to the 4 hour. See, I plotted this right here once we had this bounce, and then we clearly just took off from there. Try to draw it out a little more. Shit. I got the magnet on. I keep sticking to everything. Damn it. All right, there it is. Yeah, clear uptrend. Tried to pull back down beginning or middle of the week. Is that kind of when you see then when we have kind of some sell movement and some left and right movement, but DXY is also pushing up. See how DXY was pushing up all week while the yields were kind of selling for a second. See how DXY is moving left to right, the same time the yields move down. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what caused gold to start chopping if it loads. Right. On Wednesday and all that shit. All right, Tuesday, Wednesday chops really hard because why? DXY chopped for a second and the 10-year yield sold a little bit. So it caused gold to have no trades, right? I'm gonna post something like this in my rack per minute Discord. That's gonna help you guys really understand that. But yeah, it's a really big thing to understand the bias on gold. You need to look at the 10-year yields. You need to look at DXY. The yields are going to really move gold more, and then DXY is just like another confirmation to really help determine the strength. So if they're both going up, DXY and the yields, then gold's going down. You know what I'm saying? If they're both going down, then gold's most likely going up. That is what moves gold more than really anything else. Like more than like a quick CPI news spike or any CPI news or anything like that. PPI, it's those yields and the strength of the dollar. But yeah, same thing with MES. Let's look at MES here. But the thing is, it's kind of opposite right now. So so the yields are booming, DXY is booming, AES is booming, MNQ is booming. It's kind of just because we're having such a tech boom, and a lot of this is just being propped up right now by the government and kind of inflation and stuff like that. That's why a lot of people think this shit's going to crash. Yes, and NQ and all that. People are waiting to sell the fuck out of it. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I completely lost my point. I was going to bring something like I had something to cite. I'm gonna also post about this in my rack per minute Discord because I have something to post about it. It's completely lost it in my mind right now what I was gonna say, but those who are in my Discord are gonna get it. So hit me up if you want to hop in the Discord. I'm teaching one-on-ones for real, like legit, like down to the psychology, like personal psychology and shit like that, like because that's what the biggest part of this is. So if you wanna get help with that, then tap in. But anyway, MES, what happened this week? We actually moved kind of left and right, a little chop beginning of the week until we broke past this high right here that we created on Monday. We had 1-2 taps off of it, sold us down. We respected this imbalance though. Big wick off of this imbalance. Gotta make this bigger. Hold on. So boom, big imbalance, or big wick off of this imbalance. Sorry, big reversal rejection candle, right? For a bullish sign right here for us to keep buying up. Where do we go back up to? The high, reject off of it again. Where do we pull back to? There's a little tiny imbalance right here on the 4 hour, but it still matters, right? What do we do? Wick off of it crazy. Same thing that happened right here, basically wicking right off the 25 EMA that I have, and then we go and turn around really impulsively to go and finally smash this. I remember catching this buy, actually. I caught this I unfortunately didn't hold the whole thing up because it did start to chop here pretty hard. This is on the 4 hour, right? So this is kind of just playing around, even though it is clearly steadily uptrending. You'll see it on like the 15-minute when I show you, but my dumbass got out, so it's fine. This was still a mean ass trade, enough to just be good for the week, basically, honestly. But and then once we got up to here, it's a new all time high. So I don't have one on here right now, but I usually go and do this. Boom. And then now I have my all time high. And as we probably keep smashing this, right, I'll move it up. Same thing that was happening with gold. So as we keep smashing it, I'll move it up. I'm going to draw this out a little bit because you can see we're coming right back down to it. Wow, what do you know? We just bounced off of this imbalance again at the end of the week. And then we're able to get pushed up from it by the end of the session on Friday. So let me go to the 2 hour. Yeah, I know we had this 2 hour imbalance here, holding very well. Currently, we'll see how we open up, see if we gap or anything, because we gapped down last week, right? Bink, and recover immediately. Pull back. Basically, just manipulation right here. Smashed. New all-time high. Week before, tiny gap up. Week before, tiny gap down. So yeah, we'll see how this week opens. See if we gap or anything. One thing you can look at is if you type in on Google weekend NAS 100 or weekend S&P 500, it'll show you the movement over the weekend, like the percentage wise, how much it's gained or lost over the weekend based on like the news that's dropped over the weekend. Even though the market hasn't reacted to it yet, you can kind of get a look at what's been going on over the weekend and how people are feeling about the asset MES or MQ. So you can just Google weekend NAS 100 or weekend SPX 500 or something, and it should be I think it's IQ.com. I think they post it. Or IB Internet Brokers or some shit, like someone posted it, I don't remember, but yeah, first thing on Google, check it out. Anyway, boom, holding this 2 hour. Let me go to 45. Okay, now we can see my kill zones, right? Same little imbalance in the same area, right? We were bouncing off of, this is where we wicked off of. Same bounce on that 2 hour. I threw a fib here when we made this low to this high to see where we would retrace to, see if it would be in this imbalance or not, or if it was gonna, I was waiting for it to sweep this low. I'm pretty sure went and swept this low perfectly, bounced off imbalance perfectly, bounced off 0.5 fib perfectly, and then we turned around pretty impulsively. Good sign for the buys. I remember, yeah, these were the buys that I got in right here, these two. And then, yes, like I said, this was the one on the 4 hour. How you can see it's clearly uptrending still, but it's just chopped. So I ended up getting out around here. And it was the end of the session, and I just didn't continue the buys, is what I'm saying. I didn't catch this last leg up before it came back down. And then I caught a couple sells, not London. Caught a buy Friday, caught the sell down at the end of the day on these indexes on NQ and MES. Sold them at the end of the day because they were melting. Because profit taking at the end of the week doesn't happen all the time. You can see it didn't really happen here last week. It was a headline that a lot of, I don't remember how much money, billions of dollars were sold and lost in the stock market on Friday at the end of the day. This week's Friday sell off. This week didn't have a Friday sell off. Neither did this week. Should have just been pushing crazy. But this week we actually had a nice Friday sell off, so that's just something to look at. Something is, the market is patterns, right? So we have a little bit of a difference in the pattern that's been happening recently. So big sell off this Friday, most recent Friday before the close, when that hasn't happened for a minute. So we are going to maybe treat it a little bit differently, maybe, or just look at this as a nice sweep. It's holding this imbalance well in the 15 minute. It's actually IFVG. There's this bearish imbalance, got inversed, pulled back, held above it, continued up, pulled back down to it in the future. A couple sessions later, taps off, manipulates way down lower into this fib here that I plotted from this low to this high to see where this would retrace to after we started to like melt crazy here. Wanted to see where we were going to bounce off of. So what is around here, around this 0.5, this Asia low, swept that, turned around, and then this is just the same trade we've just been looking at, obviously. Tried to plot a fib here on this low to high because I missed this move, right? I'm like, damn, let's see if it's going to keep buying. Ended up not buying, right? We let me see, we have an inversion here on the 15 minute. Obviously, there will be one on the lower time frames, but right now I'm just going to look at the 15. Boom, boom. So once this gets broken past and we clearly pull back and show many rejection wicks here, I'm going to think, okay, sellers are obviously starting to step into play here. Yeah, we rejected off this bullish one, but after we pushed up from it again, we just go and reject immediately again. Oh, we break past? Okay, cool, let's try to buy. Nope, we don't break past this one yet. Don't try to buy yet. Sellers are clearly too strong in this area. I'm not going to keep just trying to buy this after this break. If I didn't catch the bottom especially, I'm not going to try to buy right here until this gets broken past. Right? So, 1 second. All right. There's that little like manipulation, fake out, breakout type shit. We come right back down, push up, try to push up again, reject off the same area, keep rejecting off the same area. We have this imbalance right here that we finally smashed through. And then I still have this fib here to think, okay, maybe we're going to maybe hold this area right here, continue uptrending off this area and turn around. But once we get this push here and we cannot break this imbalance, we cannot break the VWAP, we cannot break the 25 EMA, can barely break the 9 EMA, right? We cannot break the IFVG. All of this confluence to tell me to sell. So I sold this down, right? Got out. This is the last day. And then I wanted from here, we had an imbalance, I think a 4 hour imbalance in here, I think. I was going to see if we were holding here, but while I was asleep, we broke through. Didn't catch any of this. I caught this buy here to go and sweep New York highs. I got out around here, though. Perfect time to get out because I was like, yep, this shit's just going to sweep probably. Turned around. Didn't catch it here, but I caught it here. Sold a good amount of this down. Just scalped it most of the time on the way. Scalped this a little bit. And then I remember catching this whole candle because I wanted to take it down to New York lows. Took this whole candle down. Got out around New York lows. And then it just held this 15-minute imbalance or IFVG like I was saying. So same thing with same thing I was saying. We're going to see if we gap up or down from here. We have another session low here, 7,400, that has not been touched, which is around the 0.6 fib that we didn't touch it obviously, but we came to the area of it. So let's see if we come down to this area again, right, and try to fill this wick with maybe some candle body before we turn around or potentially continue lower. If we go lower and we break this imbalance in this low right here, probably going to pull back, retest, and continue down to these areas right here, or these imbalances that have not been tapped into yet, right? There's also IFVG right here, the one that started this whole move up. Once this inversed, this move was gone. So draw that out. All right. And then, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. A lot of profit taking on Friday, like I said. We'll see if that's the end of it, because we know how this has been moving. Crazy buys, right? Crazy buy recoveries. Every cell's been getting eaten up. But over the past day or 2 days, every buy has been getting eaten up by cells. But we're in this key area now, the 7,400 area now. So we're gonna see if we hold support here. Kind of same thing as gold. We're at our like key support areas. MNQ is not going to be much different. Looks a little bit different, obviously, but it's basically same story. Lots of session liquidity here. Might as well go and sweep it all, right? Before we turn around. That's what I think. We're already so bearish that it's just so easy to come down here to 29 even, and just take that out before we potentially turn around and continue with our buying like we've been seeing. Like I said last week or the week before, fundamentals is playing a key part in all of this. Like I said, with gold, the yields, war news is affecting yields. Yields affect MNQ and MES too. And like I said, I'm going to drop something in the Discord once I feel like it's ready. I'm having AI help me with it. I'm just the presentation PDF part of it, but I'm making sure that it's not giving me no bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Let me see. I don't have my fucking slacking on MNQ right now. I've been trading MES more often, so let me just draw my vertical lines in just because it helps me a little bit. Let's get one more. Bitch. All right. 4 hour. Let's just alternate between MNQ and MES real quick. See what they look like. Basically the same. I kind of like MES more though. MNQ pays out better, but MES is just having better moves. I feel like 4 hour, not much to say. Let me go to 45. Basically the same thing as MES. That 4 hour wick there held that imbalance wick down, and then that's what pushed us up to the new all time high. And then we basically just sold from there. This is that wick. What did it do? This is why I wanted to scale in a little bit, because what did it do? It went and swept these session lows right here. Okay, this is why I'm saying this is like my main thing that I'm looking for, because price is attracted to these zones. Okay, so if we already see how we swept this one perfectly, we swept these highs perfectly, swept the lows perfectly, turned around, clearly held, right? We weren't going to sell here yet. Okay, where are we going to go? Let's see. Back up to highs. There's the magnet. You know how boys were drawing the fucking magnet emoji on the chart and shit? Draw that magnet right there. And then after this successfully sweeps and shows us that we're not going to hold support here and continue buying after the sweep, and it was also such a tiny, perfect sweep that it was more likely for it to sell really hard right after that. If it broke past and then tried to retest, that's where I would think, okay, buyers have more control. But no, buyers just stopped right here. And then this candle immediately turned that shit around and melted. Draw that magnet where next? Right down to here to these lows, right? You know what I mean? That's where it's going every time if you just look. Like look in the past. After we swept this high, where are we gonna try to go? Down to this low. It took a second, right? We're either gonna go to the high or the low first, right? So we chopped around hella hard. High gets taken, right? Where do we go from this high getting taken? Right down to this low. Where do we go from this low getting taken? Right up to this high. Where do we go from this high getting taken? Right down to this low. Don't quite sweep this Asia low yet, right? So that's still a target. We pull back right down to Asia low, right? This low gets made, this high gets made, low gets taken. Where are we going? Like I just said, high. Low's gone. From here, low, high. We're already at the low. High gets taken. This high gets taken. Where are we going next? Asia high. Not quite, right? Okay, so that's our future target. We pull back, make our low again. We got to correct at some point, right? After this big ass move. So this has to happen where we just pull back perfectly in. Where do we go? Right towards Asia lows. Do we tap it yet? Nope. But where was the magnet attracted to? Right back to this imbalance, right back to these session lows. You know what I'm saying? This is also why I don't just sell everything, because you could have gotten trapped in this sell thinking it's going to go take Asia lows, and then it turns around on you hella hard and then takes off. So I'd rather just wait for this whole thing to be finished, wait for this wick to get put in, show me that buyers are going to push us back up, and then get in that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, where are we going though after this low gets made? Right up to the high. This high hasn't been taken, it gets taken. This high finally gets taken. You know what I'm saying? This is why I target the session highs and lows. This is why I have this kill zone on here like I do. That's why I stress it like I do. Um, anyway, basically same thing. Like I said, we just go and end up from here putting that low in, and then making new all-time high. I'll draw a all-time high out here. Boom. So 45 session lows, imbalance here, already been tapped and filled, but not completely mitigated. Obviously, we could still have another tap into here for sure. It's likely, like I said. So I want to see that this happen first before we continue buying. See if we continue buying with our crazy buying momentum that we had each week. But let's see if this is a change in anything, like I said on MES, to see if the pattern is changing here or not. One thing that would show us that it is breaking below 29 even. One, it's just the psychological level, psychological price, 29 even, 29,000. And then this imbalance right here is a nice imbalance. There's probably one on the 1 hour, 2 hour, 30 minute. Watch, 1 hour, 30 minute. Same area. Hasn't been tapped on the 30 minute either. That's a key thing. 30 minute one hasn't been tapped. 15 minute tiny one hasn't been tapped. 5 minute, two of them that have been tapped. Right? This one barely, only just with one little wick, and then it was gone. So we could definitely see price come back down into this 29 area, and see, we have to just see if it holds from there. But if you wanted a play right off, I don't like trading right when Asia opens, but could catch a little short here for sure. We'll see what happens. Yeah, not financial advice though, because I don't usually do that. Asia Open is just too. If you wait for after the gap, at least if there's a gap, wait, you have to wait to see the. I think it's an hour if that gap fills or not, and then if it doesn't fill after the first hour and rejects off of it, then it's going to likely head in the direction it rejected. You know what I'm saying? So if it gaps down, rejects resistance, it's probably going to keep selling and doesn't fill the gap, you know. But if it gaps down, pushes up, takes the gap out, then it's probably just going to keep buying. So we'll see. But yeah, M&Q session lows here, 1, 2, 3 that haven't been tapped, imbalances that haven't been tapped on multiple time frames. All that, something to keep in mind. Where's our next 4-hour draw on liquidity? We have this imbalance here that has not been broken past. Has been completely mitigated with the wick, but No candles broke past it yet. So there's that. So yeah, here's 29K. Still sitting right in that imbalance, right? So we can definitely come back in here and mitigate into that again. Like I said, anything really under 29, I'm going to think about, we might be short and a little lower. Um, or it could just come down and just respect 29.9 or 28.9 or 20, something like that. You know what I'm saying? And then turn around from here heavy like it did right here. But we'll see. I can't call it. Can't call it right now. For real, I can't. Right now, I can't call market conditions right now. Even though I kind of did. I have actually multiple times recently, but I don't know. I'd rather wait for market to actually open, to be honest, before I start calling direction like that. But it's okay. We're still gonna get it. Just trying to think of anything that I could bring up. Can't really. Just 45. Yeah, I just want to, like, we're basically, like I said, just as supports right now on everything. I only trade these three things, so seeing if we sweep a little bit lower, kind of like, kind of like this, to get to move back up. Gold just came out of a big accumulation, lots of accumulation. See if there is wicks here, right? One, two, three, right in this area. We could see if we hold 530, but if not, we're coming back down to 500. So that could be your move too. If we don't hold 530, short to 500, like it's almost for sure that that's probably going to happen. If that happens, if we break under 530, probably going to 500, 510 at least. But if we do hold this area, we're going to come back up to VWAP. We want to get above VWAP at 580. Then our next target, 10 points, 15 points, take out London High. We'll be inside this imbalance. We got to break this imbalance. If we reject off this imbalance, we're just sweeping London Highs and we're probably going to come lower. Maybe not all the way back down, but at least pull back. Right? So that's how I play gold at like 10 points by 10 points. If we get to here, we're going to either sweep or just, it depends on how we're moving down here, but we could smash this or sweep, pull back, retest, continue up, take another 10 points. If we break above this, it was 07, we're going to go to 20s. From there, we're going to go to 30s, 40s. From there, we're going to go to 60s, 70s, 10, 20 points each time. So, yeah, that's my breakdown for, what is it, 517. I don't know when the weekends, but we'll get it right in the title. Hit me up if you guys got questions. You already know where to find me. Rack per minute. Let's get this shit